Be'ez Hashem Yisboch, we begin the Hilchos Tefilah, the laws of prayer, Birkas, Kohanim, and the blessings that the Kohanim give the Jewish people, which is the second out of the 6 halachas in the Sefer of the Hav, the Book of Love, which Yesh B'chlol and Shtei Mitzvahs to say. In their category, there's 2 positive commandments. Aleph number 1, La'avras Hashem B'chol Yom Tefilah, to serve Hashem every single day with prayer. And Beis number 2, Levorch Kohanim Yisrael B'chol Yom, that the Kohanim should bless the Jewish people every single day. Ubir Shtei Mitzvahs Elu, and the explanation of these 2 mitzvahs are B'program Elu are in these chapters, which there are 15 chapters. The first 3 discuss regarding the Tefilah and their Zmanim, the time of davening. The next 3 Dal Tavav discuss regarding the stipulations of davening and regarding when one would be Mavatal the Tefilah, not to daven. Perek Zayin discuss regarding the order of brachas and tefillahs for an individual. Perek Ches and Tes discuss regarding tefillahs hatzibur, the tefillah of the minyan. Perek Yud discusses regarding mistakes and errors in davening. Perek Yud Alpha discusses the shul. Perek Yud Beis and Gimel discusses Kriyas HaTorah, and Perek Yud Dal and Tesvav discusses the laws of Birkas Kohanim. With that, we begin Perek Rishon, the 1st chapter, which the biblical and the rabbinic mitzvah as it relates to that of davening. So Halacha Aleph begins with the mitzvah itself. Mitzvah saseh, the positive commandment is l'spal b'chol yom, to daven every single day. Hashem says the pasuk in Shemais, v'avatem es Hashem lekechem, you should serve Hashem your God. Which from tradition they learned, what's this, that the mitzvah of serving Hashem every single day? Tefilah refers to davening. Hashem says the pasuk, the varmula of the b'chol avavchem, you should serve Him with all your heart. Which the sages said, how do you serve God with one's heart? Tefilah, that's prayer. That's the davening that a person does to Hashem. Halacha base. Now the ein minyan hatfilas min Torah. Now biblically, there's no number, there's no metrics to davening. The ein mishneh hatfilas min Torah. Neither is there the set text for davening biblically. And neither biblically is there a set time when to daven. Well, the fikr, therefore, since there's no set time biblically, women and slaves who have the halacha like women are obligated to davening. It's a positive commandment that's not time bound. It's not time that caused it. So therefore, women are obligated, only exempt from mitzvah saseh as man grama. Now, elachiv mitzvah zu kachu. So, what is the biblical the obligation of this mitzvah? Shehei adam mischanen mispal b'chol yom. A person should supplicate and pray every single day. Umagid shivcha shel Hakadosh Baruch Hu, and to say over the praise of Hakadosh Baruch Hu. V'achkach, and then after he does that he says the praise of Hashem. Shoyel tzrachav shu tzarach lehem b'vakasha b'tchina. He asks for what he needs with request and with supplication. And then he gives thanks and praise to Hashem for the good that He's given him. According to their ability, it has that structure of those 3 prongs. First, saying how great Hashem is, then asking, and then giving thanks. Halacha Gimel. Now, if a person was accustomed to davening, so he increases the amount that he has of supplication and request. If someone has what's called verstopte lippen, if someone is not able to speak so well, so he speaks according to his ability, whenever it is that he wants to. And so to the number of prayers, everyone according to his ability. You would have one person davening once a day. You had people that would daven many times a day. And everyone should daven facing towards the base of Mikdash, wherever he is. And this is the way it always was from the days of Moshe Rabbeinu until the days of Ezra Sefer. Now, halacha daled, however, regarding this, as we know of the nusach of the text of the davenings, now, once the Jewish people were exiled in the days of the wicked Nebuchadnezzar, so they got intermingled in Persia, Yavin, and the Greeks, with all the other nations. They weren't anymore just in Eretz Yisrael. And now they were giving birth to children, to sons, in the nations, the lands of the nations. Now those sons, their language was getting mixed up. Everyone was speaking in a language that was mixed up from many different languages, because they were in a diaspora. Now, once he would speak, he wasn't able to speak in one language, whatever it is that he needed, only with distortions. Like says the pasuk in Nehemiah, it says, and their sons, half were speaking Ashdoidis, they didn't recognize to speak in the Jewish language, and they would be speaking the language of all the other nations. Now, because of this, when one of them would be davening, so he would be limited in his language to ask for what he needs, or to say over the praise of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the holy language. Until it was intermingled with it many different languages. Now, once Ezra and his court saw this, they got up and they instituted the 18 blessings in a specific order. Sholosh Rishon, and still in the basic structure of the three parts that we mentioned before, but Sholosh Rishon is the first three brachas, Shevach L'Hashem, our praise to Hashem. For Sholosh Achonis, the last three are Haidah, thanksgiving. V'mtzoyis, in the middle ones, Yesh Ben Sheil is called Ram, that's where the requests are for all things. Shem Kamoi Avos, they're like the primary categories, L'chol Chefti Ish V'ish, for all what man needs. That's the first half of the middle ones. And all for the needs of the community of the public, which is the second half. And that's that it should be organized in the mouth of all people. The and it's something that they can learn very quickly. And so that the prayers of these people who can't really speak so well should be a tefillah shlema, a complete prayer, like the people that have very clear, crisp enunciation and articulation. Now it's for this reason that that they instituted all the blessings and all the prayers that are organized in the mouth of all the Jewish people, that the content of all of the brachas should be organized in the mouth of those who are not so articulate. Now Allah continues regarding, so we have what's called Shachos, Mincha, Ma'ariv, Musaf, Ne'ilah, and that's what they instituted. That the number of prayers should be like the number of the karbanos that they would bring every day in the Beis Hamikdash, which is the avodah, and we have the avodah shabalev. You have shtei tefillas b'chol yom. You have two mandatory prayers every single day, according to the two mandatory constant karbanos brought every single day, which is called a tamid, which you had one in the morning, one in the evening. Evening meaning towards nighttime. And every single day that there was a carbon, there was an additional what's called musav carbon brought. Tiknu by tefillah shleisha, so institute a third prayer connected to musav that correlates to the carbon musav. Or tefillah she connected to mishal now the prayer that correlates to the daily sacrifice brought every single morning. This is what's called the prayer of the morning. With tefillah she connected to mishal and the prayer that correlates to the daily sacrifice that was brought towards the evening. That's called the prayer of the afternoon. With tefillah shekeneged musaf, and the prayer that correlates to the musaf, and here nikras tefillah musaf is called the prayer of musaf. Halachavav. Now the chein is skin that they also instituted shehei adam mispal tefillah achas balayla, that a person should pray one prayer at nighttime. Shadei every tamid shall be in the because the limbs of the evening, the mid-afternoon evening daily sacrifice, misaklin b'holchen kalalayla, they would be consumed and they would be burning throughout the nighttime. Shlomo says in the pasuk in Yikra, hi'oila, it's the burnt sacrifice al moikta on the pyre al mizbeach on the mizbeach on the altar kalalayla all night al adabikr until the morning. Like it says the pasuk in Tehillim, erev evening v'vayker morning b'tzarayim in the afternoon asicha I speak ve'emeh and I moan ve'yishma kol Hashem hears my voice. This idea of davening 3 times a day, night, morning, and afternoon. Now, but the nighttime prayer is not obligatory like the one in the morning and the afternoon. Even so, but however, the custom has been for all the Jewish people in all the places where they're settled, they accepted it upon themselves as if it's an obligatory prayer. However, we don't have chazar sashatz to do it out loud, because the whole point is for the chazan to be mitzi someone's chiv, and it would be bracha b'tol, because no one really has a chiv to fulfill their obligation. But still, there is the prayer, the balachash of the Ma'ariv prayer. Halacha zayin. Now, b'chein tiknu tefillah achar tefillas mincha. They also instituted a prayer after the late afternoon prayer of mincha, samach l'shkei sachama, close to the sunset, b'yem hataynis b'lvad, specifically only on a day when there's a fast, to add on supplications and requests because of the fast day. This is the prayer that's called the prayer of Ne'ilah. Claim, in other words, Ne'ilah means closing, locking. Because Nina Lushara Shemayim Ba'ara Shemesh, it's that the gates of heaven are being closed because of the sun. B'nistran, it's being hidden. That's why that prayer is called Ne'ilah. Because he only davened close to the sun's setting, which is when it's like it's closing up the day. Halacha ches. Nimtzot tefillas b'chol yom, it comes out like this. The prayers of every single day are shalosh 3. You have arvis, which we start halachic day at nighttime. So that's the Ma'ariv nighttime prayer, b'shachos the morning one, the mincha, and the afternoon one. Now b'shabbos and b'miyadim, Rosh Chodashim, now on Shabbos, Yom Tovim, and Rosh Chodesh, which there would be a carbon musav. So you have arba, you have 4 tefillas, shalosh shal kol hayom, you have the 3 of every single day, and the 12 musaf and the added one of the musav one. B'Yom Kippurim on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement is Chamish is 5, because you have Arba Eilah, these 4, because it's also Yom Tov, and the Tefilah is Ne'ilah, and you also have the prayer of Ne'ilah, which is also because you're fasting in Yom Kippur later on in the day towards the evening. Halacha test regarding if one could add on what's called Tefilas Nadava, his own prayer. So Tefilas Eilah, these prayers, in Birkas, you don't do less than them, they're mandatory. You could add on to them. If a person wants to daven the entire day, he has that option, that volition. Now, all the prayers that he's going to add on, yes, the equivalent of what Davidim is in Beis Hamikdash. It's like he's sacrificing donated karbanos. Now, therefore, he has to introduce something novel from every single blessing from the middle brachas of the request, brachas that's similar to the bracha that he's saying at that time. And the reason why he has to add on, so it shouldn't look like it's an obligatory prayer, which it's not. So, for example, let's say he has someone that's sick, in the bracha b'rafeinu should daven for him according to his language. Now, if he didn't say something novel in every single one of the middle brachas, but in only one of them, so that's sufficient. And we say middle one because there's the first 3 and the last 3, and then you have the middle ones. So that would be sufficient. Again, just that it should be obvious, it should be a notification that it's like a donation and not an obligatory one. Because if you say the same type of Shema essay, it looks like, that you have to. Now, however, the first 3 brachas and the last 3 brachas is showing that essay. You never add on any text into those brachas. And you don't diminish from them. And you never change any one of that text. The community, the minyan, never davens a communal prayer of donation, which we said a yachid could do. And the reason because the tzibur, the public, never brings a donated carbon because all the karbanos of the tzibur were obligatory karbanos. Although he said you could daven as many karbanos tefillas and nadav as you want to, but an individual cannot daven the musaf prayer shtaim 2 times. Meaning achas chevasiyam once as an obligation of the day, achas and double one as a donation. The reason is it's not the karban musaf. There are certain karbanos you can bring as a nadava, you cannot bring the karban musaf as a nadava. So prayer has that equivalency. Now the yeshmina ga'inim mishahira, now there are from those of the ga'inim, the time period before the Rishonim, which Rambam was part of, that they ruled. So although we said every day you could, but not on Shabbos and Yom Tov, you cannot make a donated prayer. And the reason is, Shabbos is malachi, and I'll do. Karbanos that obligatory, the Torah says you should bring it every single day, so you bring it. However, on the Nadav you cannot bring, only what's the obligation of that day itself, and therefore the equivalent would be, regarding Tefilah, these going to say that one cannot say a Tefillah Nadav, you cannot add on more than what's necessary for the Tefillah on Shabbos or Yom Tov.